KP4MD, N6QNJ.
Okay, this is KP4MD. We just went live on YouTube. Very good evening, James.
Good evening.
Gee, if you have the stamina to do net control, I would very much appreciate it. Over.
I'm ready to go, thanks. Good evening, this is James, Kilo November 6, Quebec November Juliet, your net control operator for the River City ARC Slow Scan TV net. This net serves for training and practice in image transmission modes and meets Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. on the N6NA repeater on 441.30 megahertz. River City ARC's members and all licensed radio amateurs are welcome to participate. If you wish to join the net or need to make a call at any time, please announce your call sign between transmissions, and net control will acknowledge you. If an emergency should arise and you need the repeater, please contact the net control by saying, "break, break." A double break signifies emergency traffic. The net will stand by for you until the emergency is terminated or the traffic is moved to another frequency. Stations who wish to check in are asked to respond with their full call sign using the recognized ITU phonetic alphabet and their name. I'll recognize each station before continuing. Any station who wishes to check into the net, please come now.
Alpha India 6, Delta Golf, Joel in Florence.
Kilo Papa 4, Mike Delta, Carol in Citrus Heights.
Joel AI6DG and Carol KP4MD. Any other stations who wish to check into the net, please come now. Was there a station checking in? All right, well, so far there's three of us. This is James, KN6QNJ, Joel AI6DG, and Carol KP4MD. Joel, if you're ready to transmit a picture, you're up.
I'm not actually ready. I'm still going through a gallery trying to pick a picture. So if you could put me next, that'd be appreciated.
Happy to do so. KP4MD, if you're not ready, I could send something. But if you are ready, go ahead. KP4MD, thank you. I'm going to take a stab at that's a picture from last weekend at the swap meet. Looks like everyone's having fun, at least the three of the people in the photo. Also, before I call in Joel, I want to say good evening to Frank, Whiskey 6, November, Yankee X-Ray, and Alf, Kilo, November 6, Papa Romeo Delta. This is KN6QNJ. Joel, AI6DG.
Pop-up, table, flyers and books on the table, guy in a mobility device looking very happy. Hey, he's got stuff in a little cart in front of the device. I wonder if he picked something up at the swap that he's happy about. Holding a little jar. I don't know, a tip jar or something. I'm not sure. And behind him is the pop-up in the tent, and we got Carol with a guy standing next to her holding a couple of flyers, and they look happy too. A couple of flyers attached to the front left edge, top side of the pop-up. Looks like it's a flyer describing something, and then a map, but I can't read what. But yeah, I agree. This is probably the swap this past weekend. I don't recognize a building or something that's behind the pop-up off to the far left. But I wasn't there, so I don't know how they had things laid out. But more info. Back to net, AI6DG.
AI6DG, thanks. KP4MD. I don't have much more to add other than I wish I could have been there. Do you know who is in the picture besides yourself?
Sure, this is KP4MD. Joel, I'm surprised you didn't recognize that's the entrance to the Carmichael Elks Lodge where you had been set up a few years ago. On top of that roof, they're putting up your hex beam right in that location underneath that little awning. And that's the building behind the canopy. Yeah, the person in the mobility scooter is John Dyer, KJ6JD, also known as Jack Sparks. He puts on the electricity displays at the Maker Fairs with the big Van de Graaff generators and the Tesla coils. He's, of course, a retired electrician, and that's one of his big hobbies. He's really happy. He's holding a jar there that had all of the door prize tickets, and picked the winning ticket. The grand prize is what the other gentleman is holding. That's a $100 gift certificate to HRO Sacramento. And that gentleman is W6LFR. His name is Lee Rominger. He's involved with Cal OES. And I get to speak with him practically every week on the Sacramento Noon Net. So where he's net control on Wednesdays. And he was very happy to be the winner there. And we had a number of other door prizes as well. We had a 2022 ARL handbook, and that was actually won by a new ham, which is very appropriate. There was a copy of the ARL publication called Hints and Kinks for the Radio Amateur, and there was another prize, which was actually a 5-port gigabit ether switch that was donated as a door prize. So yeah, the map is a map to the HRO Sacramento. That was directions for people to pick up their prizes in case they were not present at the drawing. They could go and get them at HRO. So it was a wonderful day. All I can say, temperature was beautiful. It was like didn't go above 70 in the morning, but we had some really strong gusts of wind. And right around closing time, let me drop it a moment here. Right around closing time, a really strong gust of wind came, and it caught that ARRL banner as a sail, and it toppled the canopy, and it went right over my head, and it tumbled to the other side of the parking lot. Fortunately, there was nobody in the way because the people on the opposite side had already cleared out. But it was quite dramatic to see that happen, and nothing else got disturbed. Just the canopy decided to do tumble wheels, cartwheels. So back to Net. This is Kilo Papa for Mike Delta.
Kilo Papa 4, Mike Delta, Carol. Well, thankfully nobody got hurt. So that explains it. So that's the gift certificate and the winner. And it's nice to see what Lee looks like because I hear his voice regularly. Carol, what is the map on your right shoulder there?
Okay, yeah, those two sheets. The top one was the announcement about the door prize, the cost of the donation, and just the details about details about when the drawing was going to be, and that you didn't have to be present. And then that little map that's hanging down below it is a map to the location of HRO Sacramento, just in case people wanted to know where it was. So that's pretty much it. And we had a lot of displays with free literature to give out on the table behind me. Stuff from the ARRL for hams. This year we also had stuff about Neighborhood Radio Watch, because we've had people that were interested in having a contingency communication system, although they were not really motivated enough to go and get an amateur license. So the Neighborhood Radio Watch uses a lot of GMRS. Some people who participate in that are both amateurs as well as GMRS. So there's a little bit of cross connection there. This is for situations like wildfires, where they do evacuations up in the foothills. Because a lot of times the cell phones go down, and some of those people that are remote out there, they have no idea what's going on, so they like to have something back up. Back to you, it's KP4MD.
That's really interesting. KB4MD. AI6DG, any other questions before we move to your photo?
They have ham radios, but no cell phones? I shouldn't surprise me. I mean, there's all kinds of combinations of out there. And are there actually people that don't know HRO is in town and where it is still?
Well, we have people that were in there from out of town. We had some people that come from quite a distance, and they don't know they may not know where HRO is. There are some hams in town that have never actually been to HRO Sacramento. So, yep, there's still some people that have resisted the bug. Over.
Okay, got to broaden my mind and not be surprised. Thanks for that. Back to Net AI6DG.
I know, Joel, it's hard to imagine. AI6DG, are you ready to transmit?
Let's do a tone test. Tell me if there's a tone after that.
Copy tone.
PD 120.
AI6DG. Well, I copy a really pretty picture of a maybe early morning fog on a lake somewhere with curated descriptions of where you're looking. I'm not sure where this is. It looks like a volcano that's been turned into a lake. Carol, KP4MD.
Okay, this is KP for MD. I'm going to guess, because I've been recently looking at something that looks just like that on the internet. I'm going to guess this is Crater Lake, and I'm probably wrong. But I think this is Crater Lake, and there's a little island that pokes out at the southern end. I think they call it a ghost island or something like that, or Ghost Ship Island. And I'm probably wrong because there's probably something similar to that here in California. But it's very quaint. Yeah, it's the inside of a crater of an extinct volcano. That's exactly what it looks like. So back to Net. This is KP for MD.
Thanks, Carol. This is James, Kilo November 6, Quebec, November Juliet. It also, could potentially be the set for the latest Jurassic Park. Joel, AI6DG, what are we looking at?
Hey, good for you, Carol. You got it. It is Crater Lake. This was taken quite a few years ago. Remember that big total eclipse that they made a big deal about? Well, I made a big deal about it and met some friends, and we watched the totality from up on the side of Hood Mountain up in Oregon. And it was quite amazing. If you ever get a chance to go to a total eclipse area of totality, do it. It's quite amazing. It's just the sun disappears. I mean, you get this ring and everything's dark around you. But after that, on the way home, the road up had passed by Crater Lake, and I decided to play tourist on the way home and stopped by at Crater Lake. Unfortunately, it's supposed to be crystal clear air so that you can see all the way across the lake. And it's not too bad here, but this is when they had all those fires. And in fact, from where I was standing taking that picture, if you turned about 120 degrees to the left, you would be looking at some spots in the distance where smoke was billowing out of the forest. And it was quite a bit worse than this earlier in the day. In fact, the day before, as I was driving through a portion of forest, a portion of the road north of here, probably 100 miles, caught in a traffic jam, by the way, because, half of California was in Oregon and trying to get back home. There was a beautiful sunset as the cloud was struggling to get through all this smoke, and it was the deepest, most beautiful red you've ever seen. This was a good trip, very memorable for the eclipse, but even Crater Lake was amazing. I came in from the backside, and you're driving through meadows, open meadows and some forest, and you don't see anything that looks like a lake or a volcano, and you come up to the lip. You might see the road to the left, extreme left middle. That's where the road comes up, and you get your first view of the lake, and it's quite amazing. The island right in the middle is Wizard Island. I'd like to go up there again sometime. It was quite a place. Back to Net, AI6DG.
AI6DG, that's really interesting. And I do remember that people traveled north to see that eclipse. And I also remember hearing stories about the traffic. I think you were going to talk about the traffic a moment ago. Was the traffic pretty bad?
Yes. I went up a day or two early, and I left a day late. So even the day after the eclipse, the traffic was still bad. For instance, the day after the eclipse, I was heading south away from the campsite at Mount Hood, and I went into Madras. which was one of the epicenters in that area for camping and everything. And as I came down the slope, there was kind of a grade or a mountain you came down just to the north of Madras. As I was coming down, all I saw was a line of the sun reflecting off of windshields. Downtown Madras has two main. The highway goes through downtown Madras, and southbound is one road, and a block away is northbound. And when I got into town, I stopped off at a Taco Bell that was in the middle between these two roads to have lunch. And it was this stop-and-go, nonstop line of traffic in both directions. And the sunset, the beautiful sunset I talked about, I saw that while I was in stop-and-go traffic for, I don't know, half an hour, 45 minutes, just trying to get past some town that had a gas station, one gas station that apparently a whole bunch of people wanted to stop at. And just past that, I stopped for the night at a rest stop that was completely packed with cars. No empty spots. It was quite an interesting spectacle as I was walking around just taking it all in. Back to net, AI6TG.
Really interesting. That would have been a great trip. AI6DG. This is KN6QNJ. Well, if you two are ready, and if Alf and Frank are ready, I'm going to transmit a picture PD 120. All right. Well, Joel, AI6DG, what do you observe?
Nice image. Not too many pops, a few. Good colors. A barn, an old weathered barn, with the big overhang over the front center of it, so that you have a beam that you can use a pulley to get the bales of hay up into the loft. Although I don't see the door to the loft really, because it's covered with a faded American flag. But the whole front of the barn is nice weathered wood. The front right of it, which is our left, has a couple of half barrels with nice green plants poking out of it. And the right side of the barn, again our left, is painted a nice traditional barn red. Real blue sky, g- nice green grass in the front of it, although it's a little dried out and brown in places, so it's not luscious green. And an empty field with not much I can see on the far right. Back to net. Yeah, 60. Oh, looks like there might be a string of lights of some kind above the door to our left, and a sign with a nice bright orange and green section, but I can't read it in any way, shape, or form. Back to net. Yeah, 6TG.
Joel, you are so good at describing photos, I have to say. Carol, KP4MD.
Okay, yeah, this is KP4MD. This looks like some kind of a barn building. Maybe interesting, but exactly what Joel described with the faded American flag over there, over the just underneath the peak of the roof there. Nice clear blue sky. I don't know if Joel got the little interference line that goes to the top of the flag. I had that here for some reason. Something just momentarily keyed the Vox in my signal link, and it wasn't from my microphone because I had that turned off. So my rig all of a sudden clicked over into transmit for like a second. So that's what that. If you're looking on YouTube, that's what you'd see. Some potted plants in the front. I see three pots of plants, and some signs I can't read over the one pot that's by itself. And I don't know what else to say. It's an unusual. I don't know if that's a home. I would maybe think not, but some kind of a warehouse or a barn, perhaps. Back to you. This is KP4MD.
KP4MD. This is KN6QNJ. Yeah. Well, it's a barn. It's no longer a working barn. It's in Hillmar, California, which is about 2 hours or so south of Sacramento, and it's on a ranch, a dairy farm, really, with 1,000 cattle. My wife and I stayed there last Thursday through a program called Harvest Host, where you can take your trailer or RV and spend a night at wineries or farms for free if you buy things from them. And so this was sort of our first time doing this, where we just showed up. They had a place for us to park, and we spent the evening there with the warning not to let the dog out at night because of the coyotes, which we heard. That barn has been converted into a party space for the area for weddings and receptions and things. So inside you can see some of the lights hanging outside, and they have more lights inside a break. The American flags were added by the owners after 9/11, and they've been there ever since. At the very top, where the top American flag is, bats exit there in the evening, which we saw, which the farmer appreciates because they have no mosquitoes because of the bats. So it's a very interesting farm. They also have barn owls to get varmints. They make roosts for barn owls all through the area, which is about 40 acres. So this was an interesting experience, just taking the trailer and spending the night on the farm before we went on the rest of our trip. And we wound up buying some steaks and eggs and a cutting board, because the elder farmer also is into woodworking. So that's the story. Carol, I do see the line on the YouTube feed, and I didn't know if that was something from Air Force Base or something else. KN6QNJ. Any other comments, Joel or Carol? Okay, well, it looks like we're coming to the end of this evening's net. Any other comments before I close the net? All right, well, thanks to all who participated in tonight's Slow Scan TV net. We hope to see you again next Wednesday at 9 p.m. The net is officially closed at 9:33 p.m. This is James, Kilo November 6, Quebec November Juliet, wishing all of you a good evening.
Okay, so, yeah, 7-3s, James and Joel, and thank you again, James, for taking net control. It was a really good net. This is KP, and also bye to Alf and Frank out there, and anyone else who's watching this live or later on. This is KP for MD Clear.
Thanks, Carol and Joel. 7-3.